and make them a part of the community that can also serve other people as well. So I appreciate any support I could get from you folks today. And with that, I end my comments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Arlen.
And
If we can have a motion for the approval of the agenda.
as well. So
All those in favor, say yes.
yes.
Yes. Those opposed, no. Okay, I'd like to make the motion for the approval of the minutes from October 11th, 2022. Could I have a second?
Support.
All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Okay, all those say no, those no. Okay, as those of us who were on the interview committee, this has been an unusual year for the number of applicants for seats on the commission and boards. Yeah, we want to thank Regina, who tried to juggle all of those and try to find time slots for them as well. At the same time, I'm glad that we've got a large number of residents out there who are interested in participating in county government. So this will be a long agenda, and it'll be a long agenda as well at the general meeting today. So we're going to start with the action items, which are all of the appointments, but that we'll be making today. As always, the italics or the names with the italics are the names that the board is recommending to move on to the general board meeting this afternoon as well. So starting with the Agricultural Preservation Board. Yes, sir.
Suggesting that we do all the non-compete boards in one motion. Is that okay? In all the places where there's only one applicant.
That's I think that would do it. I don't know if we can do that in the general meeting. John, you have any thoughts on that?
If my recollection, and again, I won't say I'm a Robert's Rule of Order expert, but my recollection is I think you guys have done combined motions before at the board level,
All right.
at the discretion of the board.
Okay.
So I think what Commissioner Zylstra suggested you could do if you
Okay.
wanted to do that.
Jim, you okay with that? Randy, you okay with that as well? Kyle?
Sure.
Okay, then why don't we do that? So that would be item number 1, number 2, number 3.
Number 7.
Number 7.
How about 6? Skip
6, sorry. 6.
Number 11, right?
6, 7.
11 is non-compete.
Yeah, number 11, number 13. Number
15.
14, number 15.
14 is.
Well, 14 has 2 people for 2 slots.
Right.
Yep, we're good.
13.
So we're good there.
14.
And then
15 is good.
16 is good as well.
17 is good.
17 is good.
I didn't know if with 16 and 17, if you wanted to have discussion.
I asked the same question earlier, so
You can exempt those two if you wish, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry.
You can exempt 16 and 17 if you wish.
Yep. Yeah. Why don't we clarify that for the
Okay.
public?
Except 16 and 17.
So then number 21 looks like as well.
Yep.
Number 24,
22 as well.
22,
2,
yeah, 22 as well,
23.
23 as well. That's 3.
23 as well,
place 4 is good.
and 26, 20.
25 as well. 26.
Okay, and we're gonna discuss 27 because there might have been an administrative omission here, so we're not gonna,
Exempt 27, right?
Yeah.
right,
Mr.
except
Chair?
27 for now, right?
Okay.
So basically what we've done to those who are watching this, who will watch this, is that all of the numbers that we won't be doing separately, that we'll be doing them as one big group, because it was either just one applicant for one position or 2 applicants for 2 positions. So the number of applicants equal the number of positions. So if everyone is okay with that motion, I'd like a second.
Second.
All those in favor, say yes.
Who actually did the motion?
Huh?
Who actually did the motion? You?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All those in favor say yes.
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 Those opposed, no. Okay, now let's try to identify the ones we need to do individually.
Mr. Chair, number 4 would be the next item.
So we'll do the same thing in the general meeting then, probably.
Again, it's if the,
I think that's gonna really speed things up.
Yeah.
I think if the entire board agrees with that, you could do the
Fair
same
enough.
thing.
Okay. So on number 4, let's start with number 4. Regarding Community Action Agency Advisory Board, we are placing the nominations to the Board of Commissioners. The names of Belma Rosa Hernandez and Tracy Nada to select one for the private sector vacancy beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2025.
So moved.
All those in favor, or any discussion here?
We have to vote on names, right, Mr. Chair?
Yes, and we'll have to we do it by name. I believe De Rosa is a reappointment, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Okay,
We're choosing one or both?
choosing one of the two.
One of the-
Yep. So we are recommending Rosa Hernandez.
So we'll need
for
a roll
Belma.
call, Mr. Chair.
So we'll need a roll call then. So Rachel,
Okay, Mr. Terpstra,
Belma,
Mr. Meppelink,
Velma Hernandez.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Velma Hernandez.
Mr. Zylstra,
Belma Hernandez.
Mr. Garcia,
yes, Hernandez.
that's 5 for Belma Rosa Hernandez.
Okay, so we'll recommend her name to the board as well. For Community Action Agency Advisory Board,
This is number 5.
which is number 5. Yes. So we are placing into nomination and forward to the Board of Commissioners, the names in the Danielle Weeks and Beth Durkee to select one to fill the public sector vacancy beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2025. Again, we'll need a roll call. The board is you're recommending Danielle Weeks.
Regina, can we just
you
clarify
have a
that,
second?
that,
Second.
that sentence? What about consumer sector?
That was a note, a draft note that should have been removed.
Okay,
Yeah, so you can just cross that out.
thank you.
Didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I don't know where that one's coming from because it's not on the agenda.
I think it was an internal, when we were
Oh,
discussing
okay,
things
okay.
internally, I think it was probably me that put that question out there to be
Okay.
answered and we forgot to remove it. So that's my mistake.
Rachel, if you could do
Yep.
the roll call.
Mr. Terpstra. Oops,
He's missing.
Yeah, we'll give him a minute here.
okay,
Oh, I'm doing Danielle Weeks.
Oh, Daniela.
Mr. Meppelink,
Daniela Weeks.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Daniela Weeks.
Mr. Zylstra,
Danielle Weeks.
Mr. Garcia.
Danielle Weeks.
That's 5 for Danielle Weeks.
Okay, we are going down to number 10.
Number 8,
Number
Mr.
8.
Chair.
Yes, number 8 as well. So number 8, regarding the Community Corrections Advisory Board, we would like to place it into nomination and forward to the board the names of Linda Hoffman and Susan Dowdy to fill one general vacancy beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2024. Is there a second?
Second.
I think we'll need a roll call.
Mr. Terpstra,
Linda?
Mr. Meppelink,
Linda Hoffman.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Linda Hoffman.
Mr. Zylstra,
Linda Haberman.
Mr. Garcia.
Linda Hoffman.
That's 5 for Linda Hoffman.
Going down to number 10. Regarding the Community Mental Health Board, like to place into nomination and forward to the board the names of Christian Kleinjans, Julie Tollak, Heather Toppin, Stephen Rockman, Kyle Parcher to fill one general public vacancy beginning immediately and ending March 31st, 2025. The board is recommending Christian at this point.
Second.
We need a second. So that was a second, okay.
Mr. Terpstra,
Kristen?
Mr. Meppelink,
Christian Cleansons.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Christian Columbus.
Mr. Zylstra,
Christian Cleansons.
Mr. Garcia.
Christian,
That's 5 for Christian Kleingens.
okay, going down to number 12. Regarding the Department of Health and Human Service Board, I'd like to place into nomination and forward to the Board of Commissioners the names of Barbara Van Horsen, Belma Rosa Hernandez, Caden Hembrough, Julie Tollek, Heather Toppin, Heidi Percher, and Tracy Nada to select and to fill one county resident vacancy beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2025.
Second. Sorry.
All those in favor? I'm sorry, yeah, we don't have to do that since we're gonna take that.
Mr. Terpstra,
Barbara.
Mr. Meppelink,
Barbara Van Horsen.
Mr. Holtvluwer,
Barbara Van Horsen.
Mr. Zylstra,
Barbara Van Horsen.
Mr. Garcia.
Barbara Van Horsen.
That's 5 for Barbara Van Horsen.
Now I believe we're going down to number,
18, Mr. Chair.
we were going to discuss, I believe, 16
Oh,
and
sorry.
17. Okay. So, John, you want to give us an explanation on what's going on?
Well, on the Officers Compensation Commission, it's a 7-member commission. And its jobs are to establish the salaries and other benefits for the board chair, vice chair, county commissioners, as well as the elected officials. They do meet every 2 years. And so they're really not going to meet until next, I think it would be February, March of 24. And but they meet at once, or they meet every 2 years to do that. So we had this past go around 4 members out of the 7. So we had 3 vacancies. One of those 4 recently resigned. So we're down to 3 members out of 7. I think each of you received an email from the county treasurer expressing some concerns about some of the applicants there, and I'll just leave it at that for you guys to discuss.
So at this point, John, since there is no conflict between 16, since there were 3 for 3, we could just include that in the first motion that we made, where we just include all the ones where there's not, right, a non-compete. So,
Yeah, so right now there is no, right now you have 4 applicants for 4 positions. Now, obviously, there's 3 terms end in December of 25, 1 term ends in December of 23. But
okay.
you have a total of 4 applicants for 4 positions.
So Joe also applied for the long-term one, you're saying?
Yeah, it was slotted that Joe would fill in the slot that ends in 23. And then Beth Durkee, Larry Jackson, and Tracy Nada were recommended by the interview subcommittee to fill in the 3 other vacancies with terms ending in 25.
Okay. I don't remember this part of the discussion. Doug, Randy, do you have any thoughts on this? Were we aware that there was a 23 term end and then a 25 term end as well? I don't recall that we.
I don't recall that,
discussed
but
the
County Administrator Shea says that that Joe Alfonso did apply for the short term, so
Okay.
if that's the case, then I think we're fine.
So we're okay with Joe having just applied for the short term and not the long term, right?
Well, they applied it to, for the commission. I don't know if they specifically said, oh, I want to be the short term or the long term, to be honest.
They're not even meeting in 23, so I mean, obviously, if he wants to re-up and at the end of 23, he'd be given preference. I mean,
That's
assuming our rules stay consistent going forward.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with the 23 versus 25. I
Except,
don't have a problem approving all these 4 candidates going forward either, so.
okay, except that Joe would not be on 16 then.
Right, he is on 17 right now.
Right. Okay,
both places.
These are the only applicants that we got for this.
Yeah,
Get any
And,
more.
and I don't, you could really put whoever you want really in the
Mhm.
short term versus the long term.
I'm just saying, like, in general, that there's just 4 applicants total for this.
Yeah, and we actually added Tracy Nada subsequent to.
Yeah, because I don't think we had enough applicants. Some of the
So we
ones.
actually had to, I wouldn't say we had to, she was very willing to serve.
Is that, did, remember Caden?
We had 2 applicants for 4 seats, and then I think the
He did
interview
not apply for
He
subcommittee,
didn't ever apply for
He
it?
did not apply.
okay,
so we had 4 applicants for, or 2 applicants for 4 seats, and then I think the interview subcommittee.
Oh, and we added Beth Durkee as well. We added Tracy Nada and Beth Durkee subsequent to our interviews.
Correct, because they agreed to. But we only had 2 applicants for 4 seats to begin with.
And we
And then-
asked those
Yep.
two applicants if they would like to. Now, we didn't ask Caden, and I don't know if you wanted, if you had that discussion with him,
Yeah,
but
I did. I told him to apply for it, but I
Did-
don't know if he did or not.
he apparently didn't.
so So to clarify, then, it sounds to me that regarding the one, yeah, the term that ends on 2025, that we initially just had Larry Jackson and who else on that? And if there
I think
were
in the,
two original ones,
in the interview process, it wasn't specified, but
it wasn't
It was
specified.
Joe and Larry
I thought it was Joe and Larry,
were the 2 original applicants.
right?
I don't think it's a big deal either way. I mean.
Okay,
I mean, they're not gonna meet until 24, and I assume that, Joe Alfonso will be. If he's appointed today, will be reappointed at the end of 23.
Makes sense, it would just be a reappointment.
yeah, okay, so there's 4 vacancies total then, basically,
Correct.
and 20, okay. Then do we even have to discuss this in the general meeting, seeing that we're appointing a name for a slot,
Again,
basically?
The treasurer expressed some opinions about
Right.
some of the applicants for that, so I just forwarded that to you, and you're
Yeah.
free to do. what
And
you
I did
want.
respond, and I hope you response to that email.
Yeah, I spoke with her as well, and it comes down to 4 slots, 4 names.
At the end of the day, this is a citizen board.
Yeah.
We're not asking for technical
Yeah, exactly.
expertise.
Okay,
We're not asking
So-
for anything else.
so let me make a motion here that we include 16 and 17
That's part of the original motion.
as part of the original one,
Fair enough.
where they're just equal names, equal slots.
Fair
So
enough.
we don't have to have this discussion. Okay, good. So I make that motion. Could we have
I'll
a
second
on
that.
Okay,
There should be a vote on that, just.
okay, all those in favor say yes,
Yes.
Yes.
those opposed,
Yes.
no?
No,
Okay, you said no?
no,
Okay. Well, you roll a rule, Jim.
that's it.
Not the first time, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, okay, so going to number 18. Regarding the Ottawa County Housing Commission, we'd like to place into nomination and forward to the Board of Commissioners the names of Thomas Reitsma, Joseph Alfonso, Caden Hambro, Randy Coderine, Larry Jackson, I'm probably killing a few of these names, Stephen Johnson, Tracy Nada, Jordan Jordisma, to select 1 member vacancy beginning January 21st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2027. The board is recommending a reappointment of Thomas Reensma at this point. All those in, is there a second? Oh,
Second,
no, that we do a name call, I'm sorry.
second.
Yes, second and a name call. A roll call.
Mr. Ter- Mr. Terpstra,
Thomas.
Mr. Mappelink,
Thomas Reensma.
Mr. Holtfloor,
Thomas Reedsma.
Mr. Zylstra,
Tom Reensma.
Mr. Garcia.
Thomas Reensma.
That's 5 for Thomas Reensma.
Regarding Parks and Recreation, we'd like to place into nomination and forward to the Board of Commissioners the names of Linda McCaffrey, Jane Longstreet, Caden Hambro, Joseph Sirwarski, Nathan Hoekstra, Michael Kramer, Jeffrey Westendro, Jordan Jortsema, Matthew Vanderwater, and James Kober to fill 2 public vacancies beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2025. Both Jane and Linda would be reappointments, and those are the 2 that the interview committee is recommending at this point.
Support.
Okay, we'll take a vote on that.
Mr. Terpstra,
Hayden and Jordan.
Mr. Meppelink,
Linda McCaffrey, Jane Longstreet.
Mr. Holtzler,
Linda McCaffrey, J Longstreet.
Mr. Zylstra,
Linda McCaffrey and Jane Longstreet.
Mr. Garcia.
Linda McCaffrey and Jean Longstreet.
Okay, so it's 4 for Linda McCaffrey and Jane Longstreet.
Seeing that my name is on the next one, I'm going to recuse myself and I'm going to pass this over to the Vice Chair, Randy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, regarding the appointment for the road commission, we have to place into nomination the following names. We have John Schwam, John Field Reichart, Francisco Garcia, Arlen Meekoff, Mark Gleason, Caden Hembro, Kevin Purdy, David Moran, Robert Mishila, Rebecca Baker, John Rice. We need to select 2 members to present to the board to fill 2 member vacancies from January 1, 23 to December 31 of 2028.
Mr. Vice Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we continue with the 4 recommended candidates and pushing those on to the board meeting at 1:30.
We have a motion. We have support.
I've recused myself, so.
Okay.
What do you?
So the motion is to represent, put forward the 4 names of John Schwam, John Field Reichart, Francisco Garcia, and Arlen Meekoff to the board.
What are your feelings? Can we discuss this?
We need to just get a second, and then we can discuss. You don't have to vote for it.
Okay, so we have a
Sorry.
motion, we have support, and we can discuss it. About feelings as far as putting 4 forward. We talked at the last meeting by putting 4 forward, it allowed, because of the unique nature of with the current city commissioner, putting that, it just gives as much clarity, and is very open to the public as to what's going on for that. I mean, that was really the.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think putting our thumbs on the scale right now and pushing 2 forward when the packet's already printed with 4. Plus the idea that they're all 4 great. I mean, there are a lot of great, nominees here, but I think we've selected the 4 best nominees. And pushing those 4 gives everybody on the larger board the chance to weigh in without prejudice, right?
Right. We had so many applicants for this, and it was not common. It hasn't happened that way before.
And especially on a vital board like the road commission, right? I mean, Parks obviously is a vital board. But we had 2 re-ups on that board.
So that was the reason.
And I just want to say that I did interview, but I did recuse myself from all of the other interviews and the board discussion as well. Just to make it as fair as possible.
That is correct. That is correct.
You wanna, we do the?
So pretty much, I think you guys just have to do a yes or
Yes or no, yes or no
before,
vote
'cause instead
on
it's
the
kind of-
motion, yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Um,
all those in favor?
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
Aye.
Opposed?
And Frank, were you abstaining or did you just vote yes?
No, he
That's
should
fine.
abstain in my.
we got 4 yeses.
Okay, 4 yes. Okay, thank you. I'll make it. Thank you.
We wanted to gavel better. You could have passed the gavel over. I would have enjoyed that one time.
You got to chair this yet, or is this your first time to chair?
That was the first.
There you
time
go.
I got
There you go.
carried.
See what happens, Arlen? You get the guy a chance to chair his last meeting.
I believe we are back to number 23 or 28.
23,
Well, not 23, because that's 3 people for.
Yeah,
these
that's
seats.
3 seats, 3 people.
Last one is veterans. You had wanted to exempt this from the initial motion as well. I'd like to make a motion to reincorporate this into the original motion. That we had made at the beginning of the meeting
You're on 27, you said?
regarding 27. We can also vote on this separately if you wish.
Yeah, I agree with
Oh,
that.
because we have two
two applicants.
Right,
two
so
slots.
the initial motion we made at the beginning of this meeting was to
Oh, I'm
incorporate.
sorry, yes. So this is part where we do have to have some discussion, because apparently, there are a couple of reappointments that we were not aware that the term was up, and they weren't aware that their term was up.
Yeah.
John, I'll pass this over to you.
And ultimately, this is our responsibility just with the flood of applicants, but Dave Ziegler and Nick Nebel are two current members of the Veterans Affairs Committee that have both expressed interest in re-upping. And we didn't get them on the list. That's not your fault, obviously. That's our fault. Their terms expire at the end of this year, and obviously these are 3-year terms. I know generally the practice has been that if we have candidates re-upping and assuming they haven't performed poorly, the practice, it's not a law, but the practice is to recommend their reappointment. So I put that out there. It's a mistake on our part.
John, is there any statutory limit on membership of the Veterans Affairs Committee?
Well, all statutory, I don't know. We have a 12-year term limit for all of our boards and
Right.
commissions.
But if we could we expand the board to include both Larry
You
and,
know what? I don't know. I'd have to look.
okay. I would hate to
Feeling
not,
is probably not, but I don't know that.
I would have, when is the next meeting of this Veterans Affairs Committee?
January 23rd.
I mean, we could push this to the first meeting in January to make a vote. We can still do
And you can do that too.
the interview process in December. And still get recommendations from this subcommittee for January.
Yeah, you can now.
I mean, I understand the precedent, but
Again,
we also have a precedent that we interview everybody as well.
Well,
And just to substitute the two names out at the last minute doesn't seem fair to either Joseph or Larry.
and again, yeah, you can decide how you want to do this. Obviously, if you interview this year, it's a different set of commissioners voting on it for the most part next year. You know, whether they'll want to do a different process, I don't know.
Okay,
So
could we check before the 1:30 meeting, whether we can expand that board to include all 4 members?
Well, we could expand it. That's up to us, I would imagine.
Yeah,
I agree with you. in the
I mean, if there's
sense
some,
that,
if there's state statute, obviously we can't influence that, but if it's a county. But it's just our own internal,
Randy, you have a comment?
I do. One of the things when we did the interviews is many of these people had more than one committee that they applied for.
right,
Mr. Alfonso and Mr. Jackson both have been just appointed or recommended to be appointed
Right.
to the board in other committees at this point. So if precedent in the past has been, we interviewed but we've had people for reappointments that are willing to continue to serve.
Mhm.
Wouldn't it be smart to reappoint Mr. Ziegler and Mr. Neville and leave and move those names forward as reappointments? And Mr. Alfonso and Mr. Jackson would stay
right.
other committees. that they
Sure, I
were
mean,
appointed.
one, the compensation committee doesn't meet till 2024, so they wouldn't be able to serve the community until 2024. Could I just amend the motion to say, I agree with you, let's follow precedent, but if it's possible to expand, then we would include these 2 gentlemen as well. I think they both have skill sets, they both, come from diverse backgrounds. They would offer a lot to the Veteran Affairs Committee. So is it all possible? And once we check the statutes,
I can have Doug check that, and if it allows it, then
then I'd like to make the motion to incorporate the 2 gentlemen who are re-upping, as well as these 2 gentlemen, if there's space.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
1:30 meeting.
Well, let's pass that recommendation on to them.
We vote on it now and then it goes to.
Then he doesn't have time to ask Doug.
No, I mean,
See if I can get an
we
answer
can,
by that.
the motion is, we're gonna vote, we're gonna approve the 2 gentlemen who are re-upping, plus these 2 gentlemen, if there's space. And if in January we find out there's not space, well, then that motion is already clarified where we're supposed to be on that.
Yep, I'm good at that.
Okay, what are the 2 gentlemen's name?
Dave Ziegler, Ziegler, and Nick Nebel, which is Knebl.
So I'd like to make the motion to recommend Dave Ziegler, Nick Neville, and if there is space on the Veteran Affairs Committee, Joseph Alfonso and Larry Jackson.
Support that.
Okay, can you repeat that, Doug? Because we're gonna.
Sure, so
probably have to repeat this for
I'd like to make a motion to
the-
place into nomination for the Board of Commissioners. The names of Dave Ziegler, Nick Neville, and Joseph Alfonso and Larry Jackson, if there is space for two more folks on the that committee. Veteran Affairs, thank you.
And actually, you probably should say if we can increase the board, not if there's space, because space would be
Fair enough.
be thinking about current.
If we can increase the board
Increase.
by
Well-
2 spaces, then we include Larry and Joseph on that.
Well, so let me ask then, are we saying that we want to increase the number of people on the board? Or do
That's
we
what I-
just want to include them for the 2 slots that are actually available?
No, the former.
Increasing the board.
We would increase the board to include all 4. Okay,
Our
Include all
recommendation,
4
yes.
Onto the board.
yes.
And I think that's a really good idea because it is a difficult board to find. We went through a year of trying. to
Yeah,
find
and
better
all of a sudden we
boards.
cut the wind at our back and now we've got
Now we have
2 folks who really want to re-up, 2 folks who have, diverse backgrounds. And if we have space statutorily,
What Doug is saying is right now there are 5 members on the board. If state law says that this can be a 7 or 9 member board, he's saying in addition to Dave Ziegler, Nick Neville, also appoint Joe and Larry to that.
I guess I'm having a little problem with, wouldn't it just be simpler to add the 2 gentlemen that are already on the board onto the 2 gentlemen that are on here, and then just select 2 from the 4?
well, then, if precedence follows, then both Joseph Alfonso and Larry Jackson won't make that final cut. Which I don't think is what,
Well, that's, yeah, and that's what happens with all the other candidates. I think where we're having a little issue is we had numerous reappointments who had no one also applying for their current seats. And we all agreed a while back that we would not necessarily have to re-interview those people. Seeing that there was no one wanting to be in that seat. In this case, we do have to.
I think the extenuating circumstances are 1, we missed it, and 2, we have a chance to, get folks on this committee that we really
So let
haven't
me
had
finish
before.
this, Doug, because I think we're making it more complicated than it has to be. I think that the simplest solution is to just add these 2 names, because we already know these folks. We've interviewed them in the past. We would not have interviewed them at all if.
We would have interviewed them because there's a competition. We would have interviewed them.
But we would not, yeah, if you didn't let me finish. We would not have interviewed them at all if we didn't have 2 additional applicants, is what I'm saying.
But we did have 2 additional applicants.
Yes. So the first part was that if there weren't, we would have moved them on. So I guess, so we've got several possible motions here. My motion is that we just add the 2 gentlemen who are currently on the board to the current list, modify the list, and let the whole board decide what 2 among the 4 that they will move forward.
I think there's a problem with that because we didn't get a chance to interview them.
But
Number-
we've interviewed them in the past, Doug.
I wasn't there. I mean, we didn't get a chance. I mean, our policy is to
Yep.
interview everyone and we're gonna make the exception. That doesn't seem fair.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, you cannot appoint 2 more people to the board until you know the board could be expanded to 7.
No, he's just saying to this list.
No, he's not. He's saying,
No,
no, he's saying point the 2 new guys to the board
no.
and add the other 2 if they want to stay.
That's not what I'm saying, Jim, is,
That's Doug's.
okay, Jim, what I'm saying is that I think it's more complicated. If we try to add more seats to the board,
Well, I think
which
you
we
agree.
may or may not have the authority
Exactly.
to
correct.
do.
Yep.
So that the simplest thing would be to just add these 2 names to the list of 2, making it 4 for the 2 seats.
Are you doing what you wanted, what you did with the road commission?
Yes, sending 4 names up for 2 slots.
There is.
So Doug's argument
There
is
is
that,
support on the original motion, Frank. Could we just get a vote on the original motion? Because if it fails, then we can go back to your motion.
Right.
okay, so let's take the first motion then. Which is that you make the motion.
I'll read it again. So I'd like to place in the nomination, the names of Dave Ziegler, Nick Nevner for the 2 spots, existing spots, and the names of Joseph Alfonso and Larry Jackson for 2 spots, if they're able to be created in the new year.
Okay, I don't think that that was your original motion. I think that your original motion was that you
was.
wanted to send up the 2 names for the 2 slots. Yet the 2 names on the agenda.
I'm substituting Dave Ziegler, Nick Never for the 2 spots that we do have. I'm adding Joseph Alfonso and Larry Jackson if there are 2 spots that can be created, which was the spirit of the first motion, but not the exact words.
Yeah, well, I believe that that's the second motion because you had made the original motion to send these 2 names. You had made a motion to send Joseph and Larry to include them in the first motion of all of them until we brought up the additional 2 names, I believe.
Dave Ziegler and Nick Never for the 2 existing
Yes,
war
I
veteran
understand that, I
vacancies
understand.
and adding Joseph Alfonso and
Okay.
Larry Jackson for a possible
Okay.
2 spots.
So let's
if
vote
they're able to do
on
that.
that motion.
There was support. Can we just get a vote on?
Okay.
Yes or no?
Okay,
So am I doing a roll call?
A roll call on that motion.
so
Okay, all right, Mr. Terpstra,
No.
Mr. Meppelink,
No.
Mr. Holtboer.
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra.
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
no.
motion fails.
So I would like to make the motion that we add the names of Dave Ziegler and Nick Neville to the list of Joseph Alfonso and Larry Jackson to fill 2 war veteran vacancies beginning January 23 and ending December 31, 2025, that we would send on to the whole Board of Commissioners.
Okay, so we're just recognizing that we're gonna place them on the names without having interviewed them, which is our policy is to interview everybody who is in a contested position.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Because of an omission,
I understand there's an omission.
Right,
I also want to make sure that
Yeah.
we're clear as what we're doing is we're placing them in a nomination without having interviewed them,
yeah,
which
but
is
people
against
can
our
recall me
policy.
if they want. So
What?
after this. Yes, so
You
that
don't
was the
want
motion,
that
and
in
it
the
was
motion
seconded.
though, right?
I'm sorry,
You don't want the due to the admission,
No,
their
no,
names.
no.
No, it doesn't go in the motion. Okay.
that was just an explanation.
So you're treating this like the road commission where
We're
you're
treating this like the
sending 4
road
names for
commission.
2 slots.
4 names for
It's
2
like-
slots. Yeah. Okay, you can do the roll call.
Okay, Mr. Terpstra,
Yes.
Mr. Meppelink,
Yes.
Mr. Holtboer,
No.
Mr. Zylstra.
No.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes,
motion passes.
all right, we're almost done here, folks, so we can go to the real meeting. Number 28. And the last one, by the way. West Michigan Regional Planning Commission to place into nomination and forward to the Board of Commissioners the names of Rebecca Hobb, Mark Southwell, Jared Scudamore, I think it is, right? Caden Hembro, Rebecca Baker, Kevin Pretty, Joseph Pierce, Gregory Bales, Kenneth Brune, to select one to fill the private sector vacancy beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31, 2023. Need a second for that.
Support.
And we'll take a vote.
Mr. Terpstra,
Rebecca Hoffman.
Mr. Meppelink,
Rebecca Hop.
Mr. Holtboer,
Rebecca Hop.
Mr. Zylstra,
Rebecca Hop.
Mr. Garcia.
Rebecca Hobb.
Rebecca Hop has 5 votes.
Okay. Yes, no, I won't. We have any other items for discussion? At this point, no? Any public comments? I know we're getting public for the 1:30 meeting, but if anybody wants to say anything? Now's the time to do it. Okay, okay, at this point, then I adjourn the meeting. Thank you. And I want to thank all the applicants who